Experience one of the most chilled out cities in Latin America, Montevideo, Uruguay. It's a large city making up about 1.3 million inhabitants. Nearly all its neighborhoods are walking distance to one of its bordering beaches. And in contrast to many other Latin American capital cities, this one often ranks at the top of the charts for its safety. The long-run economic prosperity of Uruguay has contributed to its safety and a much higher quality of life for its people. Here's our experience and a Montevideo city review. In this video, we're reviewing Montevideo, Uruguay, and we have been doing a ton of different city reviews, and there's a big reason why we have been doing these. So why have we been doing these?
Look, I'm on a mission to convince Johnny that life outside of the United States could be way better for us than it is. And so we've been visiting different countries, cities within Colombia with the mindset of could we potentially live there for the rest of our lives?
Yeah, after 6 years of our marriage in Dallas, Texas, United States, we decided to go live in Bogota, Colombia for 2 years. And after that experience, I was like, there's got to be places that are better than Bogota, Colombia. And so this started this extra journey of ours of exploring additional places. But if you are new to the channel or if you're a subscriber, you know, there's tons of other city reviews we have out there on Santiago. We've got one on Bogota, several different towns and cities inside Colombia. And we're starting to branch out across different parts of the world. So please check those out.
So we're basically doing like a vibe check. Does this place matches our vibes, what we want to experience daily or more often in life? And that's why we're going to have a negative section. So please don't get offended with the negatives. We're not doing it to try to offend anyone, your culture, your country. This is just our view as to will we live there long term? Will this be our home?
Yeah, it's a view against our preferences, our personal preferences. This is kind of a negative for us. Doesn't mean that it's a negative for the country as a whole. It's just for us and what we're looking for. So that's kind of when you see a negative section in some of these videos, and we're making a big deal about it because a lot of people comment on those areas.
Yeah.
But regardless, we're really having the time of our lives seeing all these different places. We have never fully imagined actually visiting to the degree that we are exploring them.
And a lot of it is really a dream come true.
Yeah.
So we're extremely grateful for it.
So back to Montevideo. Why did we visit Montevideo, Uruguay?
I've always been interested in Uruguay because it's one of the most stable economies in Latin America. It is still Latin America. And, they always rank super high in quality of life, ranks or studies and all of that. So I was interested and I wanted to go see.
And for me, there wasn't anything I necessarily wanted to see in Uruguay. I was just like, hey, it's close enough to Buenos Aires. It looks, in terms of travel expenses, it just looks practical to go visit it. And I was like, hey, it's another country to check off of my list of countries I've been to. And I really did enjoy it.
So let's get started with overall feel and uniqueness.
The overall feel and uniqueness for me was that it was really laid back, especially compared to many other Latin American countries we have been to. I'm like, Uruguay is super laid back. And Montevideo is the biggest city in Uruguay, right?
Yeah.
Our host of our Airbnb even told us, he's like, hey, look, this isn't a big city. And I'm like, well, it kind of is a big city, but I see what he means. If you compare Montevideo to Buenos Aires, which I think a lot of people naturally do, it is a much smaller city than Buenos Aires. So there's not as much going on, but it was much more chill, laid back, easygoing. I felt a lot more at ease and not like I had to watch my back every corner I turned.
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. I felt super safe. It was kind of relieving to get to Montevideo, Uruguay, because we just didn't have to worry about using our phones. It was just a big rest coming from Argentina and Chile, where we had gotten a lot of recommendations to be just incredibly safe. We spent 2 weeks in Montevideo, which we typically do a month whenever we visit a large city. But there were two major reasons why we decided to do only 2 weeks, which were
Number one, there was nothing that we were really wanting to see in Uruguay, so we didn't want to stay as long. And number two, it is much more expensive compared to other Latin American countries. So, like budget wise, it was just better to just stay 2 weeks instead of a full month.
and I mean, because it felt just as expensive as Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, after this experience, I was like, hey, this feels like grocery wise, feels as expensive as Dallas, Texas. Like,
Housing.
it was hard to walk away not spending like, $40 for eating out just for two people, two plates or something. Like,
Being moderate here.
yeah, being moderate with like what you're ordering. And I was like, this feels like the United States. Where did we stay? What location of Montevideo?
We stayed 3 blocks south of Estadio Centenario, and we were like 15-minute like walk from Positos, Playa Positos. So it was a super residential area, no high rises, all low rises, just apartments, homes, very chill.
Yeah, it was a very like middle class area, nothing like super fancy. Our Airbnb was not fancy. We chose actually a budget option. It was such a budget option that there was a separate stove unit that was disattached from like the counter, and we didn't notice until later. But the way you turn on the stove, like the gas that's feeding it, is actually a propane tank under the cabinet, inside the cabinet. And we didn't know like the entire time that there was like this switch on top of the propane tank that we could turn off.
But why is this important?
Yeah.
It's important because it smelled like gas, like a lot.
Yeah, so we basically were breathing a bunch of propane the entire time.
Oh, well, we're alive.
We're alive. But it was a budget option. Again, because Montevideo was expensive. It was. Climate and time of year, we were there during April. I think both weeks were in April, yeah. And it was basically fall weather at that point in time. So it was kind of chilly. You had to put on, a light jacket or a rain jacket. It was getting a little rainy at times. So it felt a little chilly.
Some days were like warm, some days were cooler. It rained a lot.
Yeah, it was just that time of year. It seemed like people would actually jump into the ocean at the beaches that they have in Montevideo, but because of that time of year, it was like nobody was getting in the water. We saw like a few kids, right? There's always those brave souls that get into the water, but people were not getting in the water this time of year. But it was nice and refreshing, actually, since we had been in Santiago and
in Buenos Aires,
and experiencing the heat. So, what we loved. What did you love?
What I loved was how close we were to the beach, how chill it was, and just like that waterfront walk path that you can just like walk for miles and kilometers, and you continue to see it's like a beach and then development and then beach, then development and then beach.
Yeah, I love that. I could totally see myself if I were living there, owning a bicycle and riding that paved pathway back and forth, back and forth. So it was cool to be in kind of like a dense city and just be right there. And you have a couple beach options. The other thing I love, and you already mentioned it yourself, is that it's chill, but it's also like safe. I saw a lot of people using their phones more loosely. So I felt more at ease in Montevideo versus other Latin American cities.
Let's talk cost of living.
And cost of living is our first negative because Montevideo is expensive. So we chose to stay in an Airbnb accommodation for 2 weeks, and it was about $580, which is exactly how much we spent in Lima for 2 weeks. And the apartments.
It was super nice.
The apartment in Lima was amazing and beautiful. The one in Montevideo was on the lower inside of what we could even find in that range. And so it was not that great. So it was expensive. Food was expensive. I just walked away being like, okay, I'm ready to leave Montevideo just because it was so expensive.
Yeah, but we're gonna post a budget with all the breakdown of how much we spent in accommodation, food, activities, everything.
Yeah, in contrast to how much we spent 2 weeks in Lima. So we're going to do like a double and compare like, hey, here's what you can get in Lima versus a place like Montevideo, just because of purchase price parity. That's the economics term for you. Food scene.
It was a hit or a miss. So there were some really good places in Montevideo. We had some spectacular tapas. We went to some other restaurants where the food was just incredible, very well prepared. But they just didn't have as much variety or like lots of restaurants to choose from.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot, but I will say that they had the best alfajor that I've ever had in the entire world at this random tattoo parlor. I just can't believe it. It was so freaking good. They're all good. All the alfajores.
The alfajores were amazing.
We ate too many of those.
But like our very first meal in Uruguay after getting off the bus was a chivito al plato, which is a very common dish, and we didn't like it.
Yeah, I liked the meat on it, but it wasn't enough meat, and it was more French fries than it was anything else. It felt almost like it was 75% French fries, and we don't really eat a lot of fried food, so I just was like, I want more meat. Like, could there be more meat, less French fries?
Yeah, and I feel like it could have also been the place that we chose
Yeah.
because we were in a hurry and we were just hungry, right? We were just
Hangry. Yeah.
yeah, we wanted
How are you going
food.
to translate that to Spanish? Hangry. ¿Cómo se dice hangry en español?
Angriento.
But the cure are angrito. ¿Cómo se dice? Like, what?
No, I just made that up. I don't know.
That's the term we're going to try to spread in the internet.
Angriento. But it just had too many French fries and just very little meat.
And I hate to keep saying this, but the reason why we also didn't have as many lavish eating experiences in Uruguay is because Uruguay is expensive.
It was expensive. So like we typically eat out like a decent amount. We try to like go to places on the weekends. Like we don't cook on Fridays or Saturdays, Sunday maybe for dinner. But it was much more difficult in Uruguay because one, there was not as much variety as we like, and two, it was expensive.
Negatives and the criticism of Montevideo. You could already probably guess what the very first one is because we already said it multiple times in this video and I don't need to give more examples of what that is, but it is expensive. So let's move on to the next criticism. What did you kind of like dislike about Montevideo?
So before I mention that, I want to make a statement on behalf of the two of us. So we are a little bit intense and annoying to the point about our health. We don't eat French fries, we don't smoke, we don't drink alcohol, we sleep 8-9 hours a night every single day. And so like we are very intense about our health. And because of that, I didn't like all of the pot smoking in Montevideo. There was a lot of it. And I just don't like secondhand smoke, whether that is from pot or cigarettes or vape. I don't like
And it was out
to
in the
be
open.
exposed. Yeah.
Like people were just walking down the street smoking it freely, and so I'm like, hey, this is like a pothead
Well, it is
smoker's
legal.
paradise. It's
Yeah.
legal there. Like I'm just saying, so it's a positive. So if you're watching this, you smoke pot, you might want to go to Montevideo. But like for us, it was just too annoying and a nuisance and something we just don't like to be around. We don't enjoy that. We would rather not have it exist. But
Yeah,
it does.
I guess this is another unique thing because in Buenos Aires you will see people with their mate everywhere, but in Montevideo you will see people with their mate in their joint.
I kind of wish we had shots of people like smoking and how much there was.
Carrying their mate and smoking. No, we should not record people.
Not like that at least.
No, not like that. No, without their permission.
Yeah. Another criticism and negative that we experienced, at least in the area that we were in, because we were not in a super affluent area where the high rises are, where we would probably have had a much better experience of Montevideo, but would have had to pay at least 3 times more. It was this residential area. Like when we were walking around, there was like dog poop everywhere, like everywhere. I even had to go get groceries, like a normal day, normal thing, right? Go get groceries. I went outside and I saw a neighbor come out and he had his dog and he let his dog basically run somewhere and go poop, and then brought him back into the house and didn't even pick up the poop in the street, like right on the street. And I'm like, this is why there's just dog crap
Everywhere.
everywhere we went. And particularly that area. In the nicer areas, we didn't really see any of it. But as you went more toward inward into the city, away from like the coast, it was like I just didn't understand it. I'm like, where is the pride in taking care of your city? It didn't look like people really had that so much
Yeah,
for
because also
Montevideo.
moving inwards towards the city, there was a lot more trash. So people would not be careful in putting all of the trash inside of the bin containers, and because there was a lot of wind, there
Yeah.
would be trash
And,
everywhere.
and I'll also give credit to this because there were quite a few homeless people, like totally on drugs, like just taking the trash out of the trash can. So I think that was most of the reason why there was trash everywhere, because we saw that happen a few times. And like, what are you going to do? They're dumpster diving and they're hungry and on drugs. So, but you kind of see that in every big city, no matter where you go, even in the U.S. So, another criticism is that the city is very laid back, which is nice. You can really relax in the city, but it doesn't have that like finesse, that vibrancy of Latin America that we know so well after having lived in Bogota, Colombia for 2 years.
And after going back from like Buenos Aires to
Yeah.
Montevideo.
Yeah, after being in Buenos Aires for a month and then going to Montevideo, it's kind of like, you know,
It was like really high and then do.
but chill, because they do have a very nice beach, so you kind of wanted to chill. So it doesn't have that like vibrancy that I am used to in most Latin American cities that I've been to.
Yeah, and I mean it's a criticism for right now in our lives when we are looking to do things, to experience things, to go places. But it could be something that we really look forward when we're ready to chill in our 70s or 80s, when we're ready to smoke a joint.
Yeah, when we're ready to go turn on some Bob Marley and be like, don't worry, be happy, and just
Activities.
So, in terms of activities, we really didn't do much other than eat at some restaurants that we were regretting because it cost so much. No, not really.
No, it was good.
And, no, it was good. It was fun. But we just kind of walked around the city. It's about all we did. It was nice to actually walk the city, I must say. So we hit like 30,000 steps in one, like on a Saturday, and just walked like all day. And we're very tired after that. But that's about all we did, because it just didn't feel like there was much else to do. So we normally have like an activity section in these cities reviews, but that's all we got. That's all we got.
Yeah, and there were some museums and theaters that we wanted to see, but nothing was open
Yeah, it was
when
weird.
we decided to go do it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
In conclusion, Montevideo was very safe. I felt very at ease in Montevideo versus other Latin American cities. But for that safety, there comes an economic cost. It is much more expensive. The city does rank up there. I noticed with some other statistics that I saw online that it ranks up there with many American cities for the cost of living there. So it would be hard to be there if you don't have money or a substantial amount of guaranteed income or whatever your money situation is. But that's kind of what we walked away with from Montevideo.
Yeah, I mean, we still loved it. We liked our time. It was a break from coming from Bogota, Santiago, and Buenos Aires. And yeah, this is not our first city review. Go and check other city reviews on Buenos Aires, Santiago, all of those cities that we already mentioned. And comment below also, what do you think we missed from Montevideo? What do you think we are completely wrong? Or if you agree with anything that we said, Also, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Ah, sí. Bien.
What else you got? Show me.
I got alfajores de autora.
Some other way of saying like homemade alfajores.
They're both different, right?
Yeah, that one's salted caramel, and mine is raspberry.
Are we just cut them in half?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be better.
Este es un serio problema, serio problema. ¿Qué comes? Más alfajores. ¿Qué
Damn good.
What do you rate it from 1 to 5? What is this? De 1 a 5.
I can't express what I'm experiencing right now. That's really good.
Raspberry.
All right. That's the raspberry one, right? Delicioso? What's going through your head right now in English?
In English? It's going, I want to buy more to take home.
In Spanglish. Quiero more.
In Spanish, quiero more.